GROMA processes. We've gone over the assessment and the planning. Now, the implementation is what we're going to be working on next. Implementing the plan. On page 49, can somebody read me the learning objectives?
Participants will understand the importance of appraising the plan prior to implementation. Participants will be introduced to Reginald Carter and the 7 key questions used to support planning and management. Participants will be able to identify outcome indicators, and participants practice creating outcome indicators for identified needs, outcomes, and strategies. Last, participants are introduced to the standard set of performance indicators established for all community actions.
Thank you. Okay, first we're going to find out what our plan is. The Drucker had 5 questions. And number 5 is, what is our plan? And you'll see it over here in the last one. The self-assessment process leads to a plan that is a concise summation of the organization's purpose and future direction. Drucker stresses that the importance of the board of directors in the planning process. It is the board who is the primary responsible for the development of the agency's plan, and therefore the board must be active participants. This provides us with an opportunity to review the IM 49 on the core activities being responsibility of the entity and its board. So now that we have our plan, we're going to learn how to implement that plan. Okay, can somebody read the last 3 bullet points on page 50?
Strategies that use existing resources and develop new ones to address needs. The relationship of activities supported by the agency to other anti-poverty, community development services, and community. And the extent agency activities contribute to the accomplishment of one or more of the 6 national ROMA goals.
And that was in the information memorandum number 49. Okay, so we're going to implement this plan. A well-written plan leads to sound agency management and accountability. Provides the plan to implement, provided the plan is implemented well. So what's going to happen is we're going to know the importance of high-quality implementation and information. Starting with Drucker, we had work doesn't get done by the magnificent statement of the policy. Work is only done when it's done. It's done by people who are properly informed, assigned, and equipped. Does everybody in here have access to your agency's strategic plan? Some yes, some no. Shannon's working on getting that out to everyone.
We'll have a new one here in a few months.
Okay. On the GROMA part, we did the assessment and the planning, so now our next step is implementation. A nonprofit organization must be information-based. Information must flow from individuals doing the work to the board management, and it flows back. So the people who are doing the work are reporting to the board. That's why board reports are done. And then the board reports back if there's anything that they think that needs to change. Okay. What we measure. Does anybody want to read that paragraph?
What we measure and how we measure it. That one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What we measure and how we measure it determines what will be considered relevant, and thereby determines not just what we see, but what we and others do.
Okay, so that means you're not just seeing those things in action, you are also determining whether it's even viable. Okay. The agency's strategic plan guides the implementation of strategies to achieve results. Would anybody like to read that gray box, identifying the fundamental?
Identifying the fundamental elements necessary for implementation, and identifying procedures and personnel for observation and reporting of results.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're identifying what elements we need, if they're being implemented, and what policies or people are reporting back. Okay, we've had help with Drucker. Now we are bringing in Reginald Carter. And his chart is right here. It's called Accountability Agency. Questions on Carter are weaved throughout the rest of the remaining modules that we have to build our logic model. First, we formed the framework with the first 3 modules with Drucker, and now we're moving on to Carter. Okay, page 52, please. Drucker's questions were, what is our mission? We've done that. Who is our customer? We've done that. Who does the customer value? What are our results? And what is our plan? Now we're moving on to Carter. How many clients are we serving? We are on page 52, I'm sorry. We're going to focus on number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 6. Would somebody like to read the second paragraph Carter states?
Carter states that each year, when a program manager presents a budget for services to be implemented, there are 7 questions that should be asked. He proposes that all agencies should be able to answer these 7 questions in order to justify the budget amounts that will support the activities of the agency.
Okay, would somebody like to read 1, 2, 3, and 6?
How many clients are you serving? Who are they? What services do you give them? And what happens to the clients as a result of the service?
So for this part of the presentation, we're going to be focusing on those 4 individual goals. We're not going to dwell on some of the other ones. So number 1, how many clients are served? So what we're trying to do is obtain an unduplicated count of clients. We do not want to count a client in the Head Start program and then also count that same client in the RT program. We're counting them as 1 client. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Lolita, can you tell me, because I know you know this answer, when does a client become a client?
When they
Right. Right, for you it is. Because when they arrive, Kelly, when's a client become a client?
When they sign up for Head Start.
Yeah, you do that initial intake. What about you, Sarah?
When we enter into case management.
Mm-hmm. So we all have our own set of standards of when a client becomes a client. So everybody understands that, right? We want to try to achieve any unduplicated numbers, so we have a plan. Usually it's an intake. As soon as we do an intake on that client, they become our customer. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. The third bullet point down says, there are other factors that can determine how an agency counts the clients. An agency must determine with a person, family becomes a client, which we have done. Okay, who are they? Will somebody read those 3 bullets for me, please?
In the plan, the agency may have identified a specific target population based on the community assessment. Upon intake and assessment, the agency must collect basic demographic and characteristic data such as age, gender, income, employment, education, disability level, race, and ethnicity. This data can clarify the outcome information.
Okay, well, we're inputting that data in our FAFSA prep, how we collect our data and it gets reported out to the state and therefore the federal level. The real value of the data reporting lies in the ability to report out on the relationships to the data. So, can our program tell us how many 18 to 35-year-old single Hispanic females with less than 2 children are receiving welfare benefits? Yeah, because we run a report to find out who we're just simply targeting out those Hispanic women, so that's why inputting demographics, and that way we know who we need to target. Okay, there are at least 11 discrete data elements in this request. So you're asking for age, ethnicity, how many children they have, what if they're receiving welfare benefits, Some of the other things we would be looking for were previous job history, a high school diploma or a GED, have they received Head Start services, and have they received any community action emergency services. So just by asking one question, we can get all that data of who they are. Does everybody understand that? Have any questions? Same as we could single out single fathers between 18 and 30 that have no health insurance but have children in Head Start. We can pull all that out just by running a report. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to identify the outcome indicators on page 56. We're going to go over what is school success. The outcome of school success is too broad to allow you to measure it. It must decide what indicates school success. Improved grades. How would you measure improved grades?
Report card.
Yep. Reduced absenteeism.
Attendance.
Attendance. Improved behavior.
How happy the teacher is.
The data that is collected from teachers' observation. You're exactly right, Chris, and it's just in a different spin on it there. The indicator of improving use of the English language could be an indicator if someone is a second language English learner, if they're a dual language learner. That could be an indicator of how they have improved. Indicator of increased family functioning could be, an example could be by scores on the Global Assessment Functioning Test, which is a standardized scale that is used in the mental health field that helps develop the level of functioning that the individual has who is in your care. Improving the indicator requires even more specifically than we have above. How many students will improve, how many are expected improvement, how many absences are acceptable, and what will qualify as improved behavior. Can somebody read me that last paragraph?
The indicator will include the number of clients who are expected to achieve the specifically defined change or outcome in relationship to the number who will receive service. It will often include a time frame.
Very good, thank you, Olivia. Okay, I was pointed out that I skipped over pages 54. So we're going to go back to those two. What services are we giving our clients? We have to determine which clients receive services resulting in specific outcomes. How many do we count and how often? How many services are offered? How often are these services offered? Are we able to recognize and assess the quality of these services? Will somebody read me the paragraph important to determine the relationship?
It is important to determine the relationship between the service and the expected outcome. This is key in the evaluation of the effectiveness of the program in producing desired results. Without this information, you cannot determine if the program should be expanded, reduced, or maintained.
Okay, so what that means is we're going to link that all back to how do we provide the service and how many we are providing it for. The count would be the number of clients that we're going to serve. The frequency is how often we're going to serve them. Okay, number 6, what happens to the clients as a result of the service? So first we're going to identify the outcome by the client's participation in the service. Okay? Sorry about that. Then we're going to identify the number of clients who are projected to achieve the outcome and the number who actually received that outcome. Wrong one, sorry. Here we go. And what happens to the clients as a result of the service? So if on the bottom it says one service equals one outcome, one service can have multiple outcomes. such as Lolita. Has her clients that receive that one outcome, getting a ride, but then her referring to different agencies could be multiple outcomes. You can have multiple services and get one outcome. You can have multiple services and have multiple outcomes. Overall, all 4 questions are interrelated and our underlying data is rational. That means we have to think about what our data is to make it rational. Okay, outcome indicators. When we start adding numbers, you move from outcome statements to outcome indicator statements. The outcome statement is a general statement of the change within numbers, and the indicator is the statement of how much something has changed or how many have changed. Can I have somebody read the outcome indicators meet all of these characteristics?
I'm sorry.
Good.
Measurable, simple, clear and understandable, realistic or attainable, manageable, identifies a specific client or group of clients, specifies a time frame, measures an end, not a means to an end.
Okay, so when we're measuring those, we're going to think SMART. We're going to have specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, okay, I read that wrong, and time specific. So what we're looking for is the goal specific. Can you measure it? Is it within range to obtain it? Is it relevant to what the client needs? And is it time specific? Does everybody understand that? Okay. So we've done multiple indicators for an outcome. On page 57. Example 1. In some cases, the outcomes achieved by participants of the service may fall along a continuum, which means the outcome of employment and training services for 50 clients is to obtain the job. So it's kind of right in where our needs are. And unemployed individuals need employment. So what we need to think is how many of those people that need a job or need to obtain a job will actually complete the goal. Yeah. The indicators could include 20 out of 50 obtain permanent full-time jobs above minimum wage without benefits and are employed for 90 days. It could be 10 out of 50 obtain part-time temporary jobs. 5 out of 50 improve skills and experience through on-the-job training programs. 5 out of 50 remain unemployed after 180 days in the program. Your second example would be, in other cases, when referrals to other services are involved, there may be multiple outcome indicators to cross the number of domains. The outcome of providing case management services to 20 families could be self-sufficiency. The range of indicators could include 3 out of 20 families increase their household income by 20%. Will somebody read the next one?
1 out of 20 persons opened a home-based childcare business became self-employed.
5 out of 20 families obtained safe, affordable rental housing.
1 out of 20 families purchased a home.
3 out of 20 persons achieved GED high school equivalency diploma.
1 out of 20 persons increased basic academic skills.
1 out of 20 persons increased English language skills.
5 out of 20 families continue to receive case management services but have not achieved any goal on their case management plan.
Okay. So at the top, you've got example 1, you only have one outcome. You're either going to get a job or they're not. So at the bottom, they could do a multitude of these outcomes could apply to them. Okay, so we're going to go into a little activity here of what are our outcome indicators. And this will be on our logic model. Outcome indicators. Blank out of blank will achieve the outcome within this time frame. So we're going back to our need. Unemployed individuals need employment. So how many do we think are going to sign up for our program which the services to provide individuals completing the pre-employment program obtain employment. How many people are we going to have in our?
10.
175.
10.
100's easier to deal with.
Thanks. So 100's easier to deal with. Okay, so we're going to have 100 people in our program. How many of those 100 are going to complete that service? Individuals completing the employment program obtain employment.
80.
Are we doing realistically or?
15.
Fictitiously realistic.
15, 20.
Hopefully.
20, you're saying 20?
20.
Okay, and if they are, so Wanda's now stepping up and adding that to ours. We have 20 individuals completed the employment program and obtained employment. What's the time frame we want to allow for this to happen?
90 days.
6 months. No, I'll go with 90 days.
Yes, because really being
People need-
six
people
months
need a
without a job.
Is a long.
Yes, it is. So we're thinking 90 days because they're going to have some frame of reference on coming in and getting those pre-employment skills, then have time to obtain the job. So 90 days is probably all realistic. Does everybody agree with that? Okay, so what we did is we projected the number expected to achieve the outcome. Then we took the total number of persons receiving the service that we thought would show up, and this is the time frame. Going a little bit off script here. If we had 100 people, and we're expecting 20 of them to do everything, how many of the 100 do you think are going to show up the first round?
90.
90.
Right. So it's a little bit different. You're going to lose a little bit. You're going to expect 100, but you're probably only going to have 80 to 90 show up. And out of that 80 that's going to show up, then you're hoping at least half of those are going to at least go through the pre-employment part of it. Okay? Realistically, Sarah said probably 20 out of the 100. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Everybody have any questions on that? So what you're going to do is you're going to do the projected first, then the actual number of people that are going to receive it, and what their time frame is. And this will be put on our logic model. This is our indicator. Okay. So we've moved progressively along. We've got our mission, we have our need, we have what service we're going to provide, what we expect the outcomes to be, and what our indicator is and how we're going to do those services. Okay. On page 59, we have seen Module 1, which was the history, which is the one I was fortunate enough to do for you guys this morning, that things have changed. From the 2003 NASCAP report, the Community Service Network is moving to balance the locationalized nature of this work and outcomes with the need to create more uniform, accurate national accounting. So that's what we got, those national goals, but how we're going to report those out is we're going to assess what we need, plan, and implement. In 2014, 15 national performance indicators were created within the Community Service Network, and all 50 states and territories are using those. Now, every state has the capability of adding their own. We use common data, and we use more understanding of that data to develop more national performance indicators. We could have state performance indicators. National performance indicators are about community action, not just the block grant. Outcomes should be counted and reporting from the relevant community action programs and activities, which then you want to go back to the family, community, and agency goals. Those national reporting indicators were developed by Barbara Mooney and Fred Richmond, and they were the ones who taught us this. The one that wrote the book and taught us how to implement that. National reporting indicators lets agencies explain or show the bigger picture on what needs of the community and families are within their state, region, or agency. It's important to recognize that while the national performance indicators have provided a standardized way to think about the results of community action services, the set of indicators and sub-indicators are not complete. Would somebody like to read the gray area, the national performance indicators?
National performance indicators reflect only a portion of the work and accomplishment of community action. This is not our complete story, but a selective sampling of what we do.
Okay, so in implementing them, we had national performance goals in 2001 when we became mandated to report them. In 2003, they balanced out the localizations. They were able to add their own local and state indicators. Because what's relevant for West Virginia may not be relevant in Hawaii, or Alaska, or New York City. So that's why they gave them that little bit of flexibility to add more of their own. Okay, in 2004, 15 national performance indicators were added, and the national performance indicators are about community action, which we just read. They don't have the whole picture. They do not reflect, they only reflect a portion of what you all do. You do way more than those 6 national goals. All right. These are some key points. A plan must be well written, clear, and realistic for it to be implemented effectively and efficiently. The final plan should be appraised periodically and changed as circumstances arise. It should be used as a guide to implementation, not to be put on the shelf. So when you have this logic model, and you've got it, and you're working on it, and you're trying to get that 20 out of 100 clients, if you put this on a shelf and leave it, are you going to revisit? That's what this is about, is revisiting that plan as much or as little as you need. Information intent plan needs good communication systems to support it. The concept of outcome indicators was introduced. The concept the indicator is used to the quality of expected results. How many will succeed in achieving the results? Out of the number served, what is the expected time frame for success? And we had to connect that all between the enrollment outcome indicators and the national performance indicators. And the national performance indicators are very lengthy, and there are 15. And we do not have a chart of that. National performance indicators set the standard. Always remember that. Most common set of outcomes. Does anybody have any questions? No? Any comment?